There was a guy who got his leg and his arm bit off by a shark, and I met him at the Comedy Store. And he has this carbon fiber arm and a carbon fiber leg. The guy doesn't walk with a limp. He walks completely normal, and he shook my hand. I was scared because I was like, don't crush my hand.
Paul DeGelder, former elite Navy diver, shark attack survivor.
Paul DeGelder.
Paul DeGelder.
Paul DeGelder.
Please say hello to Paul DeGelder.
This is Paul.
What's up? I joined the Army in November 2000. I'd been fighting against discipline my whole life, and all of a sudden I'd voluntarily surrounded myself with the most disciplined, crazy people on the planet. And then the warrant officer came around and he said, "Who here wants to jump out of a plane?" And I've never been accused of doing anything too smart. So I put my hand in the air and he said, "Congratulations, you're going to be a paratrooper." And I thought to myself, yeah, that sounds badass. I even got my first overseas trip as a peacekeeper for the United Nations, an incredible experience that changed my whole perception on how lucky we are in a first world country and how grateful we should be. And I thought to myself, what's stopping me from being one of those guys? What's stopping me from being someone that other people in my industry look up to? And sometimes we ask ourselves these big, scary, hard questions, and we treat them as if they're hypotheticals. We don't answer it because they're too big and hard and scary. But those are the ones that deserve the answers the most. We have to demand an answer from ourselves. And I went on to 37 weeks of clearance diver training, which is when it got really hard. But I passed. And not only did I discover my dream job, I discovered my dream life. I turned around and looked down and came face to face with a massive shark's head. And I didn't know what to do. This was literally my worst nightmare. I only was petrified, deathly afraid of two things: sharks and public speaking. And I asked myself, are you ready to die? That when they got in close, they could see I was swimming through a pool of my own blood. They said it was so thick they could actually taste it in the air. I'm not a complicated person. I'm just a simple guy, and I like things to be simple. And so that day, I decided to take a very complicated situation and ask myself a simple question. This is a question we get to ask ourselves every day because we as humans overcomplicate everything we do, and it doesn't need to be that complicated. We can ask ourselves a simple question. What do I want? Do I want a good life or do I want a bad life? Sometimes we need to stop thinking and just take action. That action motivates us, inspires us, keeps us moving forward towards our goals. And even if we stumble and fail and fall sometimes, we can still give it another go, and we're building our motivation, our positivity, our happiness every single time we do that. We improvise, adapt, and overcome.
I'm gonna start with my man, Paul DeGelder. He's a shark expert, and he's gonna get me right to conquer this lifelong fear of sharks. The shark swims up, and Paul just puts his hand out on the nose of the shark and shoves it away. And I'm like, he's a superhero.